They played the Trump music, proud to be an American. And up he walks on the stage and he said, well, thank you. It's lovely to be the newcomer. I'm just telling you that at the next election, there will be hundreds of newcomers and they will be reform newcomers and we will be forming the next government. And he sat down and the room went utterly silent. And it was a sort of dual moment, I think, where people heard what he said and believed what he said, but no one was clapping.
Breaking right now, the Reform UK poll surge is causing panic among the elite class, terrified of the prospect of a Prime Minister Farage. And it's Nigel's young teams and their clever use of social media that is helping to build the momentum. So I don't know if you have Spotify. I do. I absolutely love it. So they released their big Spotify Wrapped countdown yesterday where you see your most listened to tunes of the year. And within hours, Reform had put up their own version of Wrapped, saying you've changed this year, and so has the way you vote. Hashtag Reform Wrapped. But what's brilliant is they do it with comedy as well. So look at some of the songs that they have put on their list. Get Out of Here, the D-Day version by Thin Lizzy, bit of a dig at Fishy Rishi Sunak there. Absolutely Everybody, the mass immigration version by Vanessa Amorosi, and Chagos Surrender by Elvis Presley. They also trumpet Nigel Farage's massive personal vote, I guess you could say, at the most recent election. And of course, all of this is clearly very deeply unsettling for the likes of Emily Maitlis and the fake news agents. And a bit like with MSNBC in the US, we are watching a breakdown happen in real time. Over to Emily.
We were at the Spectator Parliamentary Awards last night, and they have a sort of list of slightly tongue-in-cheek awards, and one of them was for Newcomer of the Year, Parliamentary Newcomer of the Year. And I turned to the person next to me and I said, that's going to go to Nigel Farage.
I said the same.
And they said, no, he's not a newcomer, And I said, yeah, that's the gag. He lost 7 times, now he's won, he's the newcomer in Parliament. And sure enough, Nigel Farage gets up to accept the Newcomer of the Year award. And it was quite interesting. There's a smattering of applause. And I thought that it's always a moment where you're trying to work out if the room is ecumenical. Has everyone met, irrespective of their party and their policies and their differences, to say, let's celebrate sort of politics or parliament or government or, journalism or whatever. It's a sort of meeting of lots of, the good and the great from all sorts of different arenas, I suppose.
It's also filled with self-deprecating humour about yourself, your own party.
Generally,
yeah,
it is.
It's kind of, there's a lightness of tone.
They played the Trump music, proud to be an American. And up he walks on the stage and he said, well, thank you. It's lovely to be the newcomer. I'm just telling you that at the next election, there will be hundreds of newcomers and they will be reform newcomers and we will be forming the next government. And he sat down and the room went utterly silent. And it was a sort of dual moment, I think, where people heard what he said and believed what he said, but no one was clapping. And that was the moment when I suddenly realised, as we talked about a little bit on the show yesterday, that Labour and the Conservatives have sort of come together.
And no one was laughing. Which they would have done.
Nobody
probably
rejected it,
12,
exactly.
24 months
So
ago.
exactly that. That was what was so interesting about it, was that you just it was like we'd been in this jokey, fun party, and then someone has just stood up and said something terrible has just happened, and the mood changes like that on a sixpence.
The balloon's burst.
Yeah, the balloon has burst.
But we were left thinking about it. I think everyone, you caught people's eye around the room, and everyone went, "That's entirely possible."
Peter McElvenna of the Hearts of Oak podcast. I mean, this is actual meltdown stuff. Total panic. And there's so much to pick up from those couple of minutes from the fake news agents. Number one, they all socialise together. They are part of the uni party, the mainstream media. I mean, they believe that they're in this together and they're not there for the people.
Oh, completely. And they don't get it. They don't realise how out of touch they are with the people. They don't realise, I mean, if you, and I don't know Nigel really well, but I've been with him at different events or in places, and he is mobbed because there is a huge excitement at Nigel Farage. He is a hero of the people. And I think our politicians are desperate for that adoration and appreciation. Emily Maitlis is probably desperate for that as well. Maybe Nigel could give her some tips on how to actually get the public to like her, but they don't get it. They're completely out of touch, and they see Nigel's rise in popularity, and it was there for the Brexit vote. Without Nigel, we wouldn't have Brexit, wouldn't have us getting out of the European Union. And now with the Reform Party, and they mock it, they ridicule it, and they don't get it. And do you notice that Emily said, you know, they played the Trump music, proud to be an American? And I've had the privilege of being at, I'd love to go with you, actually, Dan, to a Trump rally. I went to 3 different Trump rallies over the year. And it's energy, it's excitement, it's passion, it's you get to meet people. It's such an awesome atmosphere. Very different from the UKIP events that I used to go to, which were great, but they didn't have that same passion and energy. And she mocks that, proud to be an American. Why shouldn't an American be proud to be an American? A Brit should be proud to be a Brit. A French should be proud to be French. A German, that should be part of our inner being, part of a culture, part of a country, that we have pride in that nation. And the BBC mock that they belittle that pride in the nation state. And you realize that you're right, it is the Uni Party, and the BBC, along with the mainstream media, do not understand that passion that people have for their culture and society.
No, it's a club. It's a total club. And actually, they make me sick, because these are the same people who spent so much time trying to subvert democracy when it came to the Brexit referendum. And we now have Michael Gove in charge of The Spectator. He, of course, was advocating for Kamala Harris to win. But look at one of these pictures from this night at the Spectator Parliamentarian Awards. Look at that. Beth Rigby, Sly News political editor, hanging out, having a laugh, getting drunk probably on free champagne with Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister. They are all in this together. So if Nigel Farage is going to come in and make all of these people unhappy, then I am here for it. I am completely here for it. I understand, Peter, of course there are people who at the moment aren't happy with Nigel for one reason or another, and there are genuine reasons to have the discussions, like you pointed out, about demographic change, about the fact that he doesn't necessarily believe the mass deportation of illegals is practical when Donald Trump does. And we will have those discussions. However, this Westminster insider system, which is damning our country, really does need to be swept away. And Nigel seems like the only hope of doing that.
No, I agree. And we would be in a much better situation if we have Nigel Farage in number 10 than Keir Starmer. I think your viewers would agree 100% on that. Whatever hang-ups we may have, you never get the perfect person. You never get the perfect leader. Trump is not a perfect person. And yet what he brings is that energy. And Nigel brings a large part of that. And you pointed out Beth Rigby sitting with Angela Rayner. I mean, Angela Rayner must be the last person you'd want to go and have a drink with. I would choose Nigel Farage any day over Angela Rayner, because Nigel brings something. He brings a personality, he brings conviction, he brings enthusiasm. He wants to do something. Where I look at Angela Rayner, anyone in the Labour Party, all they want to do is be in power. And that's what we had for the last 14 years, conserve that entitlement mentality. And Nigel brings something different. It's not entitlement, but it's actually wanting to do something. And he may get the spotlight, and rightly so. And a byproduct of that is that actually good can be done. And that's why I think we would all want Nigel to be in number 10 much more than we would want Keir Starmer or David Lammy or Angela Rayner or any other of the pygmies that Labour have in power.
Exactly. And this is why it is our responsibility in the independent media to call out how the system works, because it isn't working and it hasn't worked for a long time. And sure, Nigel might believe at the moment that he has to move to a degree into the mainstream in order for him to have success. That's where I disagree a little bit with his strategy, Peter. And obviously, Hearts of Oak is part of Steve Bannon's network. And I sometimes wish Farage would listen a bit more to the Bannon approach at life, which is, you're never going to win the mainstream media over. They're never going to be on your side. They are there to destroy you. So don't play by their rules. And that means, for example, when it comes to Tommy Robinson and Tommy Robinson supporters, you don't need to deride them. And also when it comes to some of your candidates who may have, for example, posted on X, and we saw this, something about Tommy Robinson being a patriot, you don't need to expunge them from your party and dump them. But I'm not going to go to the place, though, where I say, oh, but this means Reform UK and Nigel Farage are over for me, because he has a strategy, and part of that strategy does involve having to appeal to a wider Conservative Party base and also the Labour Red Wall. But first, you know how I often talk about the need for free speech to be protected. But I've been increasingly thinking of the need for personal protection online from snoopers, bad actors, and hackers. I'm delighted to tell you I've now found the fail-safe solution. But what's more, this VPN, or virtual private network to use the full term, is also a life changer when it comes to providing you entertainment and information from anywhere in the world, wherever you are. Let me introduce you to Surfshark, an incredible and easy-to-use service that encrypts all your internet traffic, meaning your online activities stay safe so you can shop, stream, browse, and conduct your banking online in complete privacy. But the benefits of Surfshark go way beyond keeping you safe online. So this is what's amazing about a VPN. It allows you access to your favorite entertainment and news shows and channels from anywhere in the world, wherever you are, including, by the way, to all the big streaming services like Hulu and iPlayer and HBO Max and Peacock and Netflix and Amazon Prime and Disney Plus, which may not be available in your particular area. But within seconds, you can be watching as if you're in another country. It's truly amazing. For sport as well, because if you're traveling for work or on holiday, you can watch all of your favorite content from home without worrying about the geo-blocks. This is also an insurance policy against creeping censorship in many countries like France, where Rumble has been banned for many months now. So this is all about watching anything, anytime, anywhere. It is true freedom. A VPN can save money too, because think, when you are shopping online, you can get the best deals from anywhere in the world, because some websites change their prices depending on where you are surfing from. There are other benefits of Surfshark too. It works for your whole family because you can have unlimited devices. So an entire household can stay safe with just one subscription. And there are over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries, meaning there's a world of choice at your fingertips. The other great thing, and I know many of you, this is the first time that you may have thought about using a VPN, and you really must get one, but it has 24/7 customer service. So you can go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. What's more, Surfshark are so confident they're the best VPN in the world that you can give it a try for a full 30 days. And if you're not entirely satisfied, you will get your money back. So go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price, or you can just click in the link in the description box below. But now, back to the show.
I agree with you, but I probably would not be able to be a member of Reform or be a candidate for Reform, because
Yes.
I've known Tommy for 16 years. He's become a good friend, and through thick and thin, rightly or wrongly, that I will back him to the hilt. And he is one of the bravest people.
I wouldn't be able to either, Peter. And I find that really concerning, that there's a lot of guests who I have on the show, great people who, based on Reform UK's current rules, would not be able to stand for the party. And these are people who I consider to be an asset to any political movement and an asset to the country. I mean, you mentioned Father Calvin Robinson earlier. He's one that would not be able to stand for Reform UK as well under their current rules. But maybe there will be a shifting of the Overton window. But as I say, that's why I take the approach of critical friend here, and let's push reform in the right direction. But to believe at this point that there is going to be another political movement that has the chance of saving this country, I think it's unlikely. That's the problem. So we have to work with the best of what we've got. And Nigel has a lot going for him. And also there's a lot of good people who have a lot going for them within Reform UK. Look at the impact that Rupert Lowe has made as an MP in just a few short weeks.
I agree. Rupert Lowe, a fantastic standout performer in Reform, and great individual. I just think Reform are great, absolutely, but they could be so much better. And I think they could be even better if they would not look down on those who are regarded as working class, or the Tommy supporters. And I think there's a way of embracing that without necessarily agreeing with everything that Tommy may say or do, because we can be friends, we can connect with people, we can have networks without agreeing on everything that someone else says or does, but we can still be shoulder to shoulder with them. And I think that is definitely possible. And I think that will make Reform an even bigger threat to the Uni Party than they currently are. So my line, and probably yours as well, Dan, is they're excellent and they're so much better than what we have. But I think they could be so much better if they don't attack friendly fire, if they stop the friendly fire and they embrace on their side and get back to focusing on, which they are doing very well, but they could focus even more if they focused all that fire on Labour and the Conservative Party.
Big time. But things are going to change a lot, Peter, over the next couple of months, aren't they? Because already, how hilarious that all of these politicians who said, oh, no, there's no deal to be done in Ukraine ever. We fight to the death. All of a sudden talking about negotiations, something that I was saying, God, probably 2.5 years ago. And they're pretending as if we haven't noticed that they've done a complete 180. And we know why, because Trump is coming to the White House. So the entire political landscape is going to change. And I would say Nigel's approach at the moment is softly. And look, I've got Paul Thorpe on the show tomorrow. I know he will take a very different position on this, and that's fine. We can have those discussions, but we have to keep thinking about what is the best way to save this country. How do we do that? We need a political movement. We need a moral movement that will be led by people like Tommy Robinson outside of the system. And we need a media movement, which will be led by people like us, hopefully. So Peter McElvener, so great to have you on the show today. I absolutely love Hearts of Oak. Really recommend people subscribe and follow on YouTube, and especially for my interview last week, of course. Thank you so much, Peter. Oh, sorry for cutting you off there. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.